Ortonville Village Council regular meeting, Monday, January 23rd. It is 7:01. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And before we start the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to announce that the village's clerk, Amber, is present with us today. That'll come up later. But I'd like to ask her if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good job, Amber.
I know.
Roll call, please.
Lisenberry,
Here.
Hayden,
Here.
George,
Here.
Green,
Here.
Nivelt,
Here.
Randazzo.
Here. Okay, everybody accounted for. The next item is approval of our agenda. We have about a page and a quarter worth of items to cover tonight. Does anyone like to make a motion on this?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Any support? Moved and supported. Those in favor say aye.
A quick discussion on that, sorry, I gotta.
Oh, discussion on the agenda?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody want to add anything to it? Does anybody want to discuss anything on the agenda before we vote on it?
I would like to add a workshop, to discuss a workshop.
Is that
And we can put
business?
that at new business.
E, G, F,
F?
G.
Oh,
You
I
want to
have
do
mine
G
was-
workshop?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we have an item added. Does anybody else want to make any additions or deletions?
Just question, clarification, what kind of workshop, or just, because workshop doesn't really specify?
We'll talk about
Yeah, we're just going to
workshop then.
discuss it. It's not anything I think that's going to be voted on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't anticipate there's anything to vote at this point. So moved and supported. Those in favor of the
Hold
agenda?
on, one more.
He did
More?
it.
Ryan, boy, you're
in-
jumping up.
For closed session, I wanted to add more language to that one, so that it reads, closed session for specific pending litigation.
Oh, okay, so you're adding.
Yep,
Okay.
that verbiage, just to be clear. It's between E and F in new business. It just says closed session, but it should say closed session for specific pending litigation.
Well, then we can't have Melanie's as G, because that would still be part of the closed session.
Right.
So Melanie,
We'll be
we're going to have to
back.
move you,
We'll be back
Sure.
from closed session before F.
okay? We'll go back into open session and address G and the manager's report.
F and G
It's on the
Okay,
back.
in open session.
okay.
To discuss
Okay,
For specific
specific
pending
litigation.
litigation.
pending
Got
litigation.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doesn't quite look the same as it did when I first read this. Now we have anybody else want to make a change or an addition or deletion from the agenda? There has been a motion and support. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Should be amended.
yeah.
Yeah.
as amended?
The motion should be amended to say as amended.
Okay,
As amended.
And
I
you
support the amended motion.
still support. Okay, and the vote would be all those in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed. Council minutes, we had a regular meeting on December the 19th. The copy of those minutes are in draft form, and they were in our packet. If everyone had a chance to look over the draft and want to move forward with approval of those, that'd be great.
I make a motion to approve the minutes in the packet as presented.
support.
Okay, that's moved and supported as well. Those in favor of approving the
Discussion.
draft? Discussion on them? Any discussion on the motion to approve the draft of the regular meeting on December the 19th, 2022, at this very location?
Thank you.
And there is no discussion. Let's have a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That's the approval of council minutes. We have some acceptance items today. The first one is a finance report from December of this past year. That's in your packets as well, and we would need to approve it. No approval?
No.
Just accept.
Just accept it.
Both of those
Then the
items.
same with the revenue and expenditure report from December as well. These items are in our packets. I think if anybody had any questions, we could ask them, but they're just acceptance items at this point. The next is disbursements, which I know we're gonna need to have a motion.
Yes, we are.
Let's move right on to that one. Item 7, approval of disbursements.
Make a motion to approve the disbursements in the amount of $14,238.32.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Is there a discussion on the disbursements? Right, Ryan?
Thank you.
Perfect.
There is no discussion that I've heard. Who supported that motion?
I did.
Okay, moved and supported. Roll call vote, please, if I may.
George,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nivell,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes. That's the approval of the disbursements, $14,000 and some odd dollars. Next is public comments. This is a portion of the meeting where anybody who's in attendance today can address the village council. I would just ask that you raise your hand and I can call on you to speak to us if you wish. This can be on any topic you want, either the agenda or anything you want to have us hear from you. We're happy to hear. Okay, going 3 times and no public comments. We're going to move on to the approval of the consent agenda. That's number 9 on our agenda. All these items are considered routine by the council and will be enacted in one motion. So there's the minutes of the Planning Commission, the minutes of the DDA, the minutes of the Personnel Committee, and also an invoice from the attorney. The statement, right? It's not an invoice?
It's a copy of the invoice, yeah.
Okay. But that's already been covered in disbursements or something else?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So those are the consent agenda items for us.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported twice, but one will work.
Who do you want?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Hayden?
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah, it
Tony.
was
Rand-
Tony.
Randazzo?
Yep, Tony. Yeah, all in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
And if you're opposed, please say no. Items from trustees. Let's start over on the far side with Mr. Randazzo.
Okay, well, I do have.
Well, you're going to have an item coming up here on your own anyway, so if you want to wait and do that one at that time, you can, but anything additional you have, we can.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, that I
Yep.
have those coming up, but, as far as the pickleball court, I did contact, Rosalind, and we're still on schedule for, mid to late spring, for all that to happen. And also, there's gonna be a meeting, Fred called a meeting on January 31st at 1:30. Locations to be determined, and it's supposed to be the first September Fest meeting, so if you wanna be there, Ryan, because we were talking about that 175th,
Did you say January 31st?
31st. It's TBD where it's gonna be. That's all I got.
Okay, Mr. Hayden.
Yes, IT committee has not met. We did discuss this due to the onboarding of the new clerk. For some reason, I felt it was best to wait until she was up to speed on items, including some IT items. So we're tentatively going to look to have an IT committee meeting in March. And, other than that, I would like to say I do commend everybody who came out and helped volunteering with helping to set up and also set out and also to light and also to pick out the luminaries on Christmas Eve. That was really nice. It's unfortunate due to the weather, they didn't all seem to get lit. I know my lighters all stopped working at a certain point, but for those who put out the effort, it was really nice. It's just unfortunate that the weather really kept it from being as good as it could.
Yeah, we weren't blessed with the best weather for that, at least.
I froze my fingers and my cheeks off and everything.
Okay, that's it for, right now. Okay, by the way, I do come back to you guys before the meeting's over anyway, so if something pops into your head that you forget to mention now, it won't be your last chance, that's for sure. Mr. George?
Yeah. regarding Septemberfest and Bicentennial, let's see on that. I'm assuming on this, Ryan, that we'll schedule the painting of the Mann Schoolhouse sometime this spring. See if we got the big one done.
It's on the DPW list.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure of that. I assume that would be the case. Then it's gonna pop. You might be able to help me here too, Ryan, on this. On our, on our time capsule, when I saw Kaz at Septemberfest and talked to him, he's older on this. He said we broke even at this point. We're breaking in, so we have enough money to cover expenses, and everything else is a bonus. And have you heard that? Or what did he do? Was he just
I had heard.
I'm sure you all saw in your treasurer's report and revenue, yes, we've received not quite all of the
This would be just to
expense
cover, okay.
yet, but it's been pledged that we will be made more than whole on the time capsule project, yes.
So, very enthused about that. This, for you, Ken, I just want to tell you, I appreciate getting the committee that I wanted. It hasn't always been that way. This appears to be the smoothest committee.
Well, we're gonna make a couple of changes when we get to it, but yeah, it's pretty much 95%
I
completed.
appreciate that from you. Thank you.
And, you know, you're on one of the funner committees, if you ask me. The Historical Society versus some of these other committees that aren't quite as exciting. And the Historical Society itself is a pretty good group of people, so you get the opportunity to rub elbows with some of the important figures in town. Okay, great.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, Melanie?
Okay, so for the planning, we had the public hearing for the Narren property, and we'll be talking about that a little later, but that went fine, and we did change that. Our focus is going to be on future land use map and suggesting basically what it says, some futures land use for the village. So we're going to start focusing on that as we continue to finish the
And you're speaking
the
of planning
ordinances.
commission items that you've been, okay, great.
Correct, so that's kind of the focus of that particular commission right now. As far as our wayfinding heritage garden, the committees are done as far as what our goal was to achieve, but we still need to get the lights for heritage, and I know it's on the village manager report, but I need that done soon for the grant and an end date, and that's something I can talk to both you and Ryan about.
Yeah, I stopped in and we kicked it around, but we'll probably have to kick it around once more. But
Yeah.
we got to get it done.
It has to be done. And then I know that wayfinding, it seems like we're going to be waiting till summer, but again, I would like those bids to get out. I know we were hoping to see something in the packet. I know it's been busy in the office, but I don't want to wait till summer either for that. And then when it comes to manager report, I just wanted to hear a little bit about the Blue Herring Headwater Conservancy that we'll be visiting and what that is about. So
Say that again, I'm not,
I don't know. It's one of the updates that Ryan will,
okay. Oh, I got it.
yeah,
Okay.
update us on. We haven't heard anything about it, but, and then the
Is that the
workshop,
Robin
we'll talk
Lois
about it
group
later.
of, is that the Robin Lois group of people, or?
It used to be the North Oakland Headwaters.
Yeah, Headwater
Conservancy.
Conservative Committee or whatever, okay. Now it's called something different?
Yep.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Same goal, mission, same all that kind of stuff, or?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, then,
Well, okay, you can fill us in more at the manager report time, so. And that's it.
okay. Okay, Kay.
Okay. As you all know, we had a clerk vacancy, and we did the interviewing, and we ended up temporarily hiring Amber Wilson, and we're going to make that formal tonight. but we hired her. She began January 3rd. And we also hired Carl Nemi, who started on December 27th with the DPW. So right now, we have all of our...
Full staff,
we have
hey.
full staff, so
Keep our
hopefully-
fingers crossed.
Oh, yes, that's all we can do. And the other thing, I've been working on the 175th anniversary celebration.
Oh, wow, I was gonna ask if somebody's got some
Yes.
feelers out in that
Yes.
area.
And it's just in the forming stages right now, but we've got a lot of plans, or a lot of ideas, I should say, that we'd like to see happen during that time. And we think we're going to, because we got started a little bit late, we think what we're going to do is do a few things every month and build up to Septemberfest, and then have the unveiling of the time capsule and a few other things that we'll talk about as time goes on. But that's real exciting, interesting to work on, so more to follow.
Great,
That's all,
okay.
thank you.
That moves us to number 11, which is presentation of beautification awards. I think that's why we've got a couple of guests in the audience that are here today. And Mr. Randazzo has been spearheading that whole program, so I'm going to have him take it from here.
Okay, these awards are for beautifications in December, and the three families would be the Zimmer family, the Merrill family, and the Yorst family. It's a Zimmer family and you. Okay, let's take care of you first.
All right, cool.
You might recognize Scott from his work on the old mill this
I thought it was familiar, yeah. Yeah, thank
Aw. Aw, good.
you. Oh, I'll sue them.
Look at his sweater, I love it.
Cute.
Oh my God, he's
Smile,
adorable.
look at him smile.
Aw.
Just like his dad.
Right.
Are they yours here? They're not. Okay, we'll get that to the other thing is the Yorst family.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations and thanks, Tony, for that.
Oh, real quick.
Yeah, go.
The next awards that will go out will be for January, February, March, and those will go out in May. So the next awards will be May.
Okay, great. Thank you again. I'd just like to announce to the people that got an award, congratulations, and I'm sure the whole council feels the same way. Secondly, I know these meetings get to be really exciting, and you're probably glued to your chair right now, but if you certainly
Yeah.
aren't required to stay, and as a matter of fact, I'd probably say if you have any place else you'd rather be, by all means, you can be excused, and we appreciate your award.
Thank you, thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Okay. There goes some smart folks there, I can tell you that.
That's why it'll be important for you to do.
We're on to item 12, which is presentation of the Brandon Township annual fire report. Chief is here today to highlight. We did get in our packets a lot of the statistics and a lot of the information that he just wants to reiterate to us now, I suppose.
Yeah, in fact, all I was just gonna start out with is, we're down 50 calls from the year before. However, the year before, we were up almost 200. So, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Sounds like a net gain of about 150.
Yeah, right, there you go.
Exactly. The report shows where we have taken our patients, the types of calls for service, our typical response time, and then there's some other year-end highlights through there. So, if you have any questions?
just like your budget, it's very well presented.
All right. Very good. Thanks.
Hey, thank your whole staff for their work. Everybody appreciates the fire department.
Oh, yeah, and this
Absolutely.
report is a combination of a couple of people's work and effort, but I want to put the majority of it goes to Matt Best, so. See him, thank him.
All right, we will.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Please.
We like to give credit where it's due.
Yep.
Okay, that takes care of the fire department, unless anybody has any questions of Chief Quavis. Okay, thanks. We'll move on down to 13, which is the,
Now's your time.
which is the Lieutenant Greg Glover speech. We did receive all the uniform crime reports that we get from the statistics from Columbus and things like that, so we did have a chance to look at it, but obviously if you can highlight it for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, one of the biggest things this year was obviously our calls for service. During the year, with Brandon Township and the village combined, because the county and the state report them separately, not just as Brandon Township. We responded to 11,810 dispatch calls for service. That's an increase of 2,591 calls. We've been on the increase every year. This is significant for us because it affects all three shifts. That's a lot of calls to divvy up amongst our manpower. I separated it. Brandon Township was 10,379 calls. The village was 1,431 calls. There's quite a difference there. I did highlight the traffic enforcement. We wrote over 2,000 violations this year, which is a significant increase. It's going to increase more. I've added a waymaster / traffic car. He's going to wear more than one hat on afternoons. Often, it's going to be an afternoon shift. Often, calls require 2 cars, and that will free up. I'll have an extra car to grab those calls when they aren't. Handle the accidents that don't tie up our patrolmen for quite a long period of time. 48 appearance tickets this year. Those range from anything from trespassing to disorderly persons. For those that don't know, appearance tickets are in lieu of taking somebody to jail. We write them an appearance ticket. It gives them a court date, and they don't actually go to the jail, county jail. 12 drunk drivers were arrested this year for operating under the influence of alcohol. I've said for the last 3 or 4 years, to me, that's a very low figure. It's kind of a hard stat to judge. I feel like there should be many, many more with the traffic that goes through this township. But for the last 3 years, we've been averaging about 12 drivers. One of the things that's been on the increase, though, is traffic accidents. We had 310 traffic-related crashes this year. The plus was we had no fatalities this year, which was significant from last year. That was a big plus.
Yeah.
Our narcotics enforcement team still is active in this area. They conducted 7 investigations, executed 4 search warrants, and made 3 arrests. I always include the school liaison. A lot of people are interested in that. This year, he was involved in 224 incidents, with 87 of them being written reports that involve some form of investigation. I did list the difference in the schools. Obviously, the high school being number 1, the middle school being the second highest. Not a huge difference there. We seem to be having some issues at the middle school, much like the high school.
Yeah. Green schools.
Crime statistics, and this is an important one for me and the village. There's a stat that we call the micro-reported criminal offenses, and this is offenses that happen that the state and the FBI follow. They keep track of those statistics, and what that comes down to is out of those cases that they track, how many end up in arrest, and how many of them end up with an exceptional clearance, meaning that somebody either doesn't want to go through with prosecution, but it's not just closed. This year, Brandon had 103 of those incidences, and out of 143 major incidents, 47 of those resulted in an arrest with 26 exceptional clearances. Brandon Township continues to have one of the highest clearance rates in Oakland County amongst our substations and amongst all the other agencies in Oakland County. And those stats are what determines safest villages in the state when they come out with those reports, safest townships. And we've been in that for the last almost 7 years now. We've made those lists being in the top. The village only had 47 of those reported criminal offenses, with 23 out of 47 resulting in an arrest, and 12 exceptional clearances. The village had one of the highest rates at almost 75%, 74.47% closure rate on all major cases that the state and the feds monitor. So between the township and the village, we had 150 of those incidents that result in 70 arrests, 39 exceptional clearances, and that means out of the two, there was 150 cases, and 109 of those resulted in an arrest. And what that tells me is that the detectives are doing their jobs. They're making an arrest on cases that involve investigations, and not just closing them out. It means they're active. The average percentage rate between the two was 73.15%. Last year we were at 72.65. If you look at our substations across the county, the average is probably 50 to 60% at the absolute highest. So for me, I take pride in that with our guys because of those closure rates. There's other, and I've said this before, there's only one other township that seems to have beaten us in the last couple of years. And I don't agree with how they close those. And to me, if you're having to cheat on your stats, you're not winning anyways. And I just feel like there's no way you can clear some of those cases to possibly come up with a clearance rate like that. In summary, 2022 showed a 2,591 increase in dispatch calls. That is significant. Our traffic accidents were a slight increase. We continue to have increases in domestic violence calls. Traffic enforcement is always a focal point for us. We try to be visible in all the problem areas and or areas that are reported by citizens, such as on the back roads, which we do get often. Home invasions this year, I've put it in the paper a couple of times. Our daytime home invasions are on the increase, and that is in northern Oakland County. Springfield, Groveland, Atlas, Hadley, to where they're doing daytime break-ins. We had a really good suspect that I thought for sure it was a guy that I worked years ago when I was undercover. He got out of prison 3 months ago, and he was a perfect fit for it, same MO and everything. But we've been doing some things with him, and he has not been north of Troy in like 3 months. And ironically, last night he was involved in a shootout in Hamtramck, doing a burglary of a business. But we do have another suspect, and that case that's actively been being worked also. Like I said, I'm very proud of my staff. We continue to have one of the highest clearance rates in not only Oakland County, but the state of Michigan, and that's important to me. So that's about all I have. I did include kind of the top 20 CFS listings for the village. I did include Brandon's if you want to look at those crimes. Those are just the crimes that the state and the FBI monitor, and you'll see identity thefts and frauds. Those are very hard today to have closures on them because often it's somebody that's not in the state, probably in another country, committing them. So those are very difficult to clear.
Oh, thanks, Lieutenant, and obviously thank your staff too, because it sounds like they're doing a good job.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, to increase clearance with 2,500 more, that's pretty impressive.
It is.
Yep.
Okay, that takes care of the Sheriff's Department report. We can move on to item 14, which is unfinished business, but we won't have to spend a lot of time on this one because there isn't any. It's going to take us to 15, the new business, and there is quite a bit of that. So let's talk about this sidewalk project. It's number A in our new business section.
The Oakwood Sidewalk Project, it's one we've talked about over the years. The funding was awarded in 2017 to use some state and federal money towards the Oakwood Sidewalk Project, earmarked for the year 2023. To that effect, we've been talking quite a bit. Paul O'Mara and I have been discussing, Paul from Rowe, some some possible ways to use that funding and pursue the Oakwood sidewalk project. So I'll turn it over to Paul if you want to tell us a little bit more.
Okay. Yes, as Ryan said, I'm Paul O'Meara from Rowe Professional Services. And Ryan and I have been talking about 3 or 4 weeks, not a very long period, when I found out that there was funding available to the village to get a sidewalk project completed. So there's obviously a fixed amount of money that you have available to spend. We put together some different price estimates based on what Ryan felt were the right portions of the road to try to put a sidewalk in. Our first option, including a boardwalk, unfortunately is quite expensive. Materials for boardwalks have really jumped in cost the last couple of years.
In our packet, it sounds, sorry to interrupt, it sounded like we have 3 options that we're thinking of? Is that
Right.
how you categorize it that way?
Yeah,
Okay, and that first one was the one that was very expensive?
and it was between Cedar and Church.
Got it.
Complete stretch.
It's a very wet stretch.
What's that?
It's a very wet stretch.
Yeah. So we looked at what would it take to just do the concrete section from Church down to where the boardwalk would start. And that wasn't very much money. That was about $125,000. It's a pretty short section. So then we looked at expanding the project further to the west down to Narren Park. And unfortunately, we couldn't be able to do it all, obviously, with the boardwalk. But if you want to eliminate the boardwalk section, that would be about a $300,000 project. So Ryan felt that that might be an appropriate fit for the village to be able to go in there and do at least all the concrete portion. And one word of caution, as I said in my letter there, is that unfortunately the right-of-way is really narrow through there. There's not much space to work with, unfortunately. So in order to get the project done, you would have to communicate with each individual property owner and get written authority for them to put the sidewalk partially on their property. And you never know when you're talking with homeowners, some will be fine to work with, others will have their issues. And they will have the right to say no if they want to, so that could develop discussions and parts of the project, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh.
I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
How many homeowners is it approximately, does it involve that would need to give us permission?
I want to say it's 17, but I might not be exactly.
Give or take, okay.
That's for option C, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
I just wondered, so none of this is creating any kind of sidewalk to get people to spend
Oh, no. There's another obstacle there, the crossing of the creek there, to go near Park Road Shopping Center. It'd be another very costly element.
Basically, just doing Creek to Church.
This would be from Cedar all the way to Narren Park, but there would be a gap there.
Cedar to the park.
Yeah, with a gap for the boardwalk section.
So a little background on it. We're part of what's called the Small Urban Program through MDOT. And every other year there's some money awarded. We partner with the Village of Goodrich, parts of Atlas Township, Groveland Township, parts of Brandon Township, for that pot of money. So we get to put forth a project and consider it, and we get a portion of that funding. In 2017, we were awarded about $225,000 for a project just titled Oakwood Sidewalk Project. At the time, it was billed as a project that would get us from M15, which is not in the village, all the way down Oakwood to Brandon Hills. So over the last year, I've worked pretty closely with Paul and with Amanda from Rowe. We know that the biggest issue is crossing the creek along Oakwood. We also know that it is not a very safe place to be a pedestrian because there's very little shoulder. And Oakland County, since 2017, has told us that they really don't want to add any kind of crossing at the creek within the right-of-way. They have structures and things in the right-of-way that would not really make it feasible to put a sidewalk in the right-of-way. But in order to get pedestrians across the village safely, we realize that none of the 3 options are exactly perfect, but we see option C as kind of the 3 bears approach of option A is too big, option B is too small, and option C might be just right. That it's a portion of that whole distance. Over time, we can keep using that funding in the future for, say, that boardwalk section alone would be one project for further sidewalk work going each direction in the future. But for now, we think this is the best way to maximize that funding.
So is he an analyzer or is he a contractor?
Yes.
Both?
Well, I'm a civil engineer.
Engineer,
so
yeah.
We provide assistance to the municipalities to implement projects.
So you're still engineer is married to everything, and they get contractor, after you approve something,
And we'd have to design something and get it approved by the state with its federal funding, and then when the contract would be hired.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like three options, and I'm not a big fan of any of them.
We discussed that, the fear of kind of having that path to nowhere.
Yeah, it's like,
on
who
this
wants to take a
project.
sidewalk
I know
that's
it.
gonna dead end? It's like a street. You wanna get from a point A to point B, and not just get halfway there and it dead ends, because what you go down there for then? So, it would be,
Yeah, I don't think it's a perfect solution either, but it's definitely leaps and bounds better than what currently exists, is the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets us going that direction. We talked about Spark grants the last couple of meetings, and I did apply for a Spark grant for that bridge. The DNR has quite a bit of money they're granting to communities, and that was one of our projects to help with that bridge. That was the first thought with this pot of money was, maybe that 225, and with our match it becomes closer to 300,000. That would be enough for a bridge, you'd think, right? No, they're about $500,000 for the bridge alone, without any sidewalk to it or anything like that. So, and not being able to put that in the right of way would be even more cumbersome than seeking an easement from multiple people would be to park a bridge on a private parcel.
okay,
This is just a walking back bridge, right?
that's it.
How long is that?
Right?
Yeah, there you go.
I think
Not
there
more than a
could
few
be
hundred feet.
other ways, definitely.
It's a short little distance there.
It is. What did it say?
Would it, could we consider doing, what is the subdivision, is it not Timberwood, I always screw it up.
Pinestead.
Pinestead, thank you. I know one of the streets is named Timberwood, though. Pinestead up to Church. Could we maybe do that section? And the reason I ask is because it's so narrow there, no one can get through there. I don't know if that, and at least people could get up to Church to walk into the town. I don't know. I have a problem like, Ken, it's like,
There's water there too.
it's a little
There is.
section, it's
There
a,
is, right by Lee's house, there's that water.
Well, we're gonna have to think about it more,
Yeah.
because we're
We
certainly
are.
not, I don't
When-
feel like I wanna vote to approve a project
How long do we have for the grant?
soon.
Yeah, you'll have to get moving pretty soon. There's a lot of different steps, unfortunately.
Yes.
What is
Basically, it
soon?
boils down to the best scenario, we just kept tracking one from church
To the wetlands.
Yeah.
All those tall cattails
To the west.
that are right about where Sands Road
Yeah.
ease in,
Yeah.
that's about as far as you would
that's
get.
going east.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from church
Yeah.
going towards Beekys,
Okay.
is,
only
yes,
going
west.
about as far as Sands Road before you run into that huge wetlands area of cattails that we can't cross with a normal sidewalk.
So, again, how long do we have for the grant before we would lose it if we don't do something?
There is, it's about
Until
four.
October to have it.
That stretch to the
Okay.
east of the wet stuff?
When was that?
To have it approved, I
Yeah.
know.
Or west from church towards the
Gotta be
west.
submitted before that, so they have time to
Almost there.
That's
If you
correct.
go past that,
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause it will
Okay.
change.
Well, yeah, of course it will.
Apartment building that's east of Cedar. I do like the section, the thought of a section from Cedar Street to Narren Park, because we've talked for a long time, how do we tie Narren Park in the village? So, and there are several residents along there, so, I'm okay with that section, but I also, at the past, I know we also talked about the people north, east of Church Street that are going up the hill there, about some way of tying them in there. Now, I know we've
That's
got-
what Melanie just mentioned.
Yeah, and I know that there is some sort of a connector path through.
East Ridge.
Court.
East Ridge to Sherman Court, yep.
So if there was something we could do to do a section of sidewalk, walk along there, that would maybe bring those homes and let them tie into Sherman Court from Brandon Hills and residents along there, so they have a walking.
But there's a big pond there too, isn't there?
Well, that's why I said if you bring
Are-
in Sherman Court, then they come down Sherman Court and can connect over to Eastridge, and then you have a walking connectivity into the town. And then we might want to look at improving that path cut through we put through from Sherman.
Looks like we might want to table it till we can have either a workshop to discuss it, all the possibilities, soon.
Yeah, because there's lots of
Or-
choices, but yeah, we gotta move on it quick.
Yeah.
Just because we gotta spend the money. It's,
Exactly.
Grant money that's gotta get used, but
So-
I don't like sidewalks that don't go anywhere.
To recap the timeline, it's 2023 funds from the state, which means the state's fiscal year ends on September 30th, and we have to commit funds and be rocking and rolling by September 30th of this year. Is that correct?
Right, and the easement question is really a big question, because you have to give people time to consider, make a decision. You can't expect them to sign immediately once you knock on their door.
Right.
And obviously, they have the right to think about it, so that's gonna potentially, you don't
Yeah,
know.
but I think most of them would want it because it not only improves their property value, but they get to use it. So if you lived in that stretch, you'd sure love to have a sidewalk.
I do know people who live east of Church Street, and they've been asking about when is the sidewalk going to come through.
Well, everybody would want one. I would sure think so.
Well,
It's in our
Granger,
master
on the
plan,
north
it's in
side,
our-
there's no water.
Yeah, well,
That
Just
did not
throw
get,
that out
that
there.
did not get improved through the small urban, though.
No, it
It's
didn't.
not,
Granger's
yeah,
not a
it's not,
federal,
I know.
whatever.
because that was
It was a
asked.
joke.
Yeah, but that was asked.
So, do you want a vote to table this, or just to turn
we
it
just
down?
don't, we just won't be voting on it.
Okay, all right.
There's no motion to vote on it, and
Okay.
that way we don't have to vote.
Do you want to, if you want it to come back?
Well, yeah, we'll put it as, we'll have it as unfinished business next time we come around.
Ryan, it sounds like there's been a couple of different suggestions for how to maybe alter that a little bit. Could you maybe try to follow up and fill some of those out a little bit and see how we could kind of like maybe modify proposal C to use the grant money, but find maybe some better sections for putting this in. That might serve some residents better rather than the sidewalk to nowhere, as it's called.
I mean, that amount of money is only gonna get us so many feet.
Exactly.
And like I said, I'm thinking about the ones who are east, and the fact that we do have a walking connection to Sherman Court. It might be able to tie some out through that.
I would think so as well.
So that's what I was thinking, we could look at some other options and see how the money could be spent, maybe other than going west from church.
And based on this amount, whatever we end up picking is probably gonna, some of it's gonna end up coming out of our pocket anyway, because this grant isn't gonna.
There's a certain amount of match we have to provide.
Yeah, but the numbers are probably never gonna come in where we don't have to at least dig deeper than we think.
Yeah, but I also do feel that we do want to try to use it, all the grant money.
Heck yeah, every nickel.
Because if we don't use the grant money, that looks bad next time we go to apply for grants. I want to make sure we're using it and use it.
Okay, we're gonna put sidewalk as unfinished business. It's gonna come back around. Hopefully, we're gonna have some answers, and Paul, thanks for coming down and do the engineering, and then we're the guys that get to say, you know, yay or nay, but right now, everybody's kind of a little bit up in the air on it, so we'll have to all come to some sort of an agreement as to what you can do for us, and what we can do to get the project moved. Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.
The next item is B, it's the 2023 bridge inspection. Is this road part of this as well?
Yeah, do you want to speak to that one
Why
too,
don't
Paul?
you-
Well, if some of you have been on the board for some time, you know that every 2 years, your bridges need to be inspected by the state requirements, and a report is submitted to the state to make sure that they're not being neglected. So ROW does provide that service for a fee if you want us to come out and inspect the bridges like we have in the past. We'll give you a report.
Okay, and that's one I think we are ready to move on, because we saw in the packet there was a price for the bridge inspection, and we have to do it whether we like to or not, so it's my suggestion we take action on the bridge inspection project that's been presented to us.
Make a motion to approve Row Engineering to complete the inspection for this year in the amount of $1,350.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to discuss further the bridge inspection project? It seems like it's something routine that we got to do periodically. Go right ahead.
Yeah, about the bridge on South in particular, I know Bob Hawkswell had some concerns. And I believe, I think, Ken, he talked to you about some of the concerns.
Well, he had some initially, but it wasn't about the safety portion of it that I was aware of.
Okay.
He was.
I just want to make
when the
sure
project was
that,
going on, I think he probably had some differences with the contractors or construction people that we used.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's.
I want to make sure they
Yeah.
were not safety issues. So I don't know if you
Well,
or
they're
the
gonna,
village
they're gonna be inspecting
manager-
them, so that's what we're paying them to do, is
Right.
inspect them for us. What occurred later is, of course, water under the bridge, but
Literally.
we'll still have to move forward with the bridge inspections.
Certainly, but while we're doing that, this is the time to verify that they were done to code and specs and all of that. I know Bob had concerns at the time, so it's a perfect opportunity.
Well, okay, who engineered them? Because it was probably Rowe, or these same folks?
It was real.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on the motion to inspect the bridges? We have 3 in the village, and they're all to be inspected by state law, I suppose.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Sure.
If we just shut all 3 of these bridges down and did work on them, why are they being inspected now? Isn't that part of that job?
The joys of biannual inspections.
Just they have to
So
be-
regardless of when we did it, it would just happen? Okay.
Right, so they were inspected in the fall of 2021, they were worked on last summer in 2022, and they're inspected again in 2023.
Because I'm sure other people had that question too, so.
Sir,
That's,
All right.
it's an
it's like a recurring,
MDOT.
it's like a recurring expense.
Yes, unfortunately.
And is Rowe the only company that can do this, or are there others that we can use?
Companies as in engineering firms?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can always hire new engineers, but we would then be starting over. If we're gonna, use Rowe for projects, and we have in the past, we probably used other ones as well. So at whatever point we want to renegotiate engineering firms, we can always do that. But at this point, it sounds like we're kind of thick into the woods on it already, and that didn't sound like actually all that much money, to be honest with you. I thought it'd be way higher than that.
Right, it's not.
Since they just did the engineering work for the construction projects, they could definitely get people to verify that all that work did indeed get done properly and brings it up to proper safety.
We want safe bridges, but we also got to have somebody's signature on a document that goes to the state, and it just has to happen. So
I wonder what would happen if, it's hypothetical, if something were overlooked and there was an accident, is it the engineering company, is it still the village, or?
everybody's going to be on the hook to some
Little bit
degree,
of
but if
everybody.
it would be litigated, and if it were determined that the engineers were at fault, then that's where the chips would fall.
Okay.
I can speak a little bit to the process, because bridges are an MDOT, MDOT maintains the standard for bridges. Not only are they inspected by Rowe Engineering, but then there's also a qualitative and quantitative review that the state requires by a separate engineering firm that reviews the bridge file. I've met with them in the village office several times where they review our file on each bridge to make sure it's complete and we have every document and process and action taken recorded. And they also go through the ProjectWise portal with Rowe and go through in much more detail than I can comprehend each structure and its integrity and its inspections for the last several years.
Righty, thank you.
Okay, moved and supported. I got to actually move on to the vote part of this. Let's do the roll call vote.
Larry.
Yeah,
Larry, thank you.
and I believe you read off the amount, Kay, didn't you?
Yes, I
I
did.
had the motion.
All right.
I just missed.
Okay.
Didn't hear Larry.
Okay, let's vote.
Green,
I'm pretty sorry. Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nivell,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George. Rosenberry.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called.
Okay, that goes to item C, which is the hiring of a village clerk and a DPW laborer. We have in our packet some information on some new hirees to the village. We need to make those hirings official, and we'll do them separately as well, just so that they maintain their own record of independence. And the first one would be for the village clerk, and that's who I introduced at the beginning of the meeting as Amber Wilson. I know you mentioned when you did the committee report that interviews were done and things of that nature, and that the personnel committee felt they were making a very good, a very wise choice with this candidate.
Absolutely.
Therefore,
I recommend that we hire Amber Wilson as village clerk with her start date of January 3rd, 2023, with an hourly wage of $20 per hour and a regular schedule of 30 hours per week.
Support.
okay, moved into supported. As far as discussion goes, Amber, I want to say thank you and
Yes. And welcome.
and welcome. And I did get a chance to stop in the office a couple times and say hi already, but we'll probably cross paths quite often, because the village clerk position is one of, you're in the public view and you get to meet with everybody in town, including the council members and anybody who comes in. So you kind of represent all of us when you're there at the office, and we appreciate that. And that was my comment. If anybody else wants to have further discussion before we vote. Yep.
Nyla,
Yes.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George. Yes. Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes. Well, you're not temporary anymore.
Permanent.
Made the cut.
You got the official. You got the official, you're hired.
Hopefully next meeting you'll be sitting where,
Right, after some more training. She's been having a lot to do just to get, to new things to learn. So far, so good. We also hired a DPW laborer to replace someone who left our employ, I think somewhere around Thanksgiving or so, Christmas maybe. And that employee we should hire as well.
Make a motion to hire Carl Nemi as the DPW laborer to begin on December 27th, 2022, with an hourly wage of $16 per hour and a regular schedule of 40 hours per week.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Is Carl here today? I don't think he is.
No.
You worked all day.
Oh, you worked all day, yeah. Well, that's good. I think I passed him a couple of times, too. He's not here. I'd like to congratulate him if we do, in fact, vote to make his position, or his position with the DPW official.
I'll throw a comment out in discussion. I have seen him out there working with Bob to make sure the sidewalks are getting salted prior to the snows and stuff, so it seems like they're doing a good job working together, so.
I would agree with you there, Larry. That's something I think we all appreciate. Okay, there was a motion and support for the hiring of the DPW guy, and we just need to vote on it.
Randazzo,
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hayden,
Yes.
Nyla,
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes. That takes care of the hiring of the 2 new positions within the village, and hopefully things remain stable for the foreseeable future. It takes us to a rezoning request. Ryan, is this the project over by the end of Narren Street?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
The Planning Commission, I think, voted and held a public hearing on changing the zoning from,
Workplace.
yeah, there you go, from workplace to parks and...
Natural preserve.
Natural preserve,
That's right.
okay. I can't imagine that anybody would have a problem with that. It sounds like a win-win for the village. But nonetheless, it was voted on and approved by the Planning Commission, and we get to do the same.
Make a motion to rezone parcels 03-07-301-019 and 03-07-301-016 from workplace to natural preserve.
Support.
Okay, moved into supported. As far as discussion goes, I just want to point out to anybody in the audience that the rezoning area we're speaking of is on Narren Road, where it dead ends. If you remember where that guy used to have the water place, and right now it just still dead ends. But the property then would then connect up with Narren Park, is that?
Be across the creek from there.
Across the creek from Narren Park, but it would still become recreational, or however we rezoned it, as opposed to just workplace property that it is now. Does anybody else have any other comments or discussion about the rezoning? Sounds great. Rezoning, do we roll call it, or is it okay or no?
You can,
It's not money.
Right.
you can, all in favor.
It's really up to you.
No, but if it's spending money and we're not spending money, but if it's a changing of a zoning thing, I would I'd just feel better if we do a roll call.
Absolutely. When in doubt, roll call it out. George.
Yes.
Green.
Yes.
Hayden.
Yes.
Nivell.
Yes.
Randazzo.
Yes.
Quisenberry.
Yes. Okay, that area is now officially rezoned to what Ryan had described. Now to village council committees. This was just kind of a rough draft that went out into everybody's packet. Most of the things on here stayed the same from previous years. However, since this went out in our packets, there's a couple of additions or changes I'd like to request that before I ask the council to approve it and vote on it. The first of which is I'd like to ask if Melanie Nivell would be the president pro tem for the village council and be added to this list that we're holding in our hands at this time. I would also like to ask that I'm listed on the streets committee, and that was just because we didn't know what name to put there at the time, so it got to be me. But I would like to ask anybody on the council member if they would like to assume that role as the streets committee representative. That would be, now's a good time to volunteer if you'd like to do that.
I'll do it.
Cool.
Streets.
You'll do streets and you'll do the Parks and Rec?
Cool.
Yeah, they're pretty much play together, so.
Okay,
Lord
anybody else?
knows I'm out here driving around enough, so.
Just a point about the president pro tem, I believe that that is something that the council has to elect. I'm okay with,
Well, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the election.
come back and we redo that, I'm okay with that. But I think
If procedurally that's the way, that's what we can do. The Personnel Committee right now stands as Green, Hayden, and Nivelt. Larry, when we spoke before the meeting, you had made a mention you might want to switch on that.
Yes, we haven't addressed our rules of procedure yet, but I do know there have been a few times in the personnel committee, because we have 3 council members on it, when it would have been potentially beneficial to bring the village president into a discussion about personnel matters, but that was problematic because the 3 council members already being on it, and adding the president makes it more important. I would like to ask the council to consider whether maybe we drop personnel committee back to 2 council members plus the village manager, and then that would allow the option of bringing in the village president if there's things warranted without having to have an open board.
Well, funny that you have said that, because when I was held the position of village president back 8-10 years ago, I was actually the 3rd person on that committee, and it was with Kay Green and Melanie Nivelt, and the 3 of us were the ones that did the hiring of Hoxwell, as well as a couple of village managers during that particular time. So that system did actually work out well.
Well, actually, I can share with you one of the reasons is because of the fact that with president being, and the village manager being kind of like in the direct chain of command, if there's any potential conflicts that might involve the president, it made it more difficult with the personnel committee to be objective in dealing with any matters that come up. So that was why we changed it to say council members instead of the president. So that was, that's why it got changed, because there were some situations where it made it difficult because the president was also kind of involved in some cases.
Well, I
Ken, if I might, we do have, hopefully, we're going to get another council person, so you might want to hold streets open until then, unless it, I mean, hopefully, we're going to fill it soon.
Well, actually, we should hold streets open for right now, because we're also gonna hold open sewers. And you see that that's on the list, and what,
You have RRC as well.
yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's redevelopment ready communities.
Okay, and what is that?
Still doesn't-
Okay, well, finish your
Yeah,
thoughts.
yeah.
Okay, it goes back to the Personnel Committee of being Green, Nivelt, and Quisenberry instead of Green, Nivelt, and Hayden. And the Sewer Committee is the big federal sewer project that the township and the village and some Groveland areas are involved with. Is going to really start ramping up, and it would be nice for the village to have a committee that would represent the rest of us council members when some of those meetings occur. So if, we don't have to make those appointments right now, but I would like to do it soon, so if we have a volunteers to do that position, I would happily entertain adding it to this list before we vote on it.
I would be interested, oh,
I would be interested in,
Yeah, I'm replacing you off of personnel, so that'd be a great committee for you to go to, if your time allows.
I'm also on SunCog, and that kind of ties together, so we have a lot of time.
Great. Hayden, Green, and Nivelt on the sewer committee? I'm just.
Sure.
There's,
oh, yeah,
sorry to
No, go
butt in.
ahead.
The sewer committee was recommended by Roe, who's doing the sewer study for all the participating municipalities. The township has one consisting of 3 members of the township board. It was recommended that we have one to kind of expedite the process, especially as we do the 80-day study that'll begin as soon as the planning commission has the future land use map completed. So sometime this spring it'll meet regularly. Some of our groups, it's worth mentioning, they consist of people outside of just the village council. So some are members of the planning commission, the DDA, and the village council. So RRC is one of those. Streets has a member of the planning commission on it. The planning commission is different. But the makeup of each is unique. So is it in our best interest to have 3 members of council on sewers? It might be. It might be worth considering throwing a member of the planning commission, DDA, even a resident or business owner in there could be helpful as well. So I just want to add that to the discussion as we're having it.
Yeah, I like that, and better to have the different boards represented, because DDA has a very high interest in sewers in the area.
Yeah, but aren't they already included in all of the decision-making and the processes that the township's going through with the sewer project?
The DDA,
In what way?
The DDA is not,
Does the DDA want to?
yes.
Great. Well, let's just, for the sake of this vote today, leave sewers open. We're
Yeah,
gonna have
can we
another.
hold off on that one?
We're gonna have another member too. That's, as Kay mentioned, that might be something important. And we can put the sewer committee on unfinished business for next month.
and if a person needs to go off the sewers, I would do that too.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
Whatever's needed.
We really didn't talk about this at all yet, so
Right.
this is the first time that it's even coming up. So with that in mind, this RRC, Melanie, you're gonna have to tell me again what that is?
Well, actually, Brian and Courtney can tell you more, but maybe that's one we just leave open for right now unless somebody,
Well, we don't, and you're absolutely right, we don't need to have a committee just to fill a spot on a name on a sheet. The committee has to have a goal and a destination, and all they do is do some
well,
of
I'm
our
not
work
sure why
for
you
us.
put it on here then.
I
Right
think it
now,
was
who do we have
just the sheet.
that attends those, Ryan?
It was former President Bryce. That's
Okay,
why
gotcha.
It's empty at the moment.
All right, so it's not, it's a body, not a committee of 3, it's just,
Okay.
yeah, representative.
Okay.
So that might be the new person, I mean, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah,
Right,
but
I mean,
again, it
I
doesn't
don't know
have
who
to
it
be
is.
filled. These committees are all at our whim, and they serve at our behest. And they're there to attend something and report back to us so that we don't have to do some of the legwork. So it's just really, it's a service to us. And if it doesn't occur at this moment, it can always, we can pick ad hoc committees anytime we feel like it. Anytime any need arises. So that's not as if we're locked into just these committees with
And we
these
can
people.
change them.
They can change them at a moment's notice, and Larry, go right ahead.
And that's what I was gonna get to, because we have in our rules of procedure defined standing committees, and I'm wondering if we're getting a little bit of the cart in front of the horse, because our rules of procedures where we really define our primary standing committees, which includes the personnel committee and several of the committees on here. I think that we need to look at these together, because if we're gonna be forming a sewers committee, should that be included in the rules of procedure as a regular standing committee?
Again, the committees are at our behest. They can begin and end with, just a single vote. And I guess we'll cross
I'm just
the bridge.
saying, I think, for procedurally, we also need to address our rules of procedure, because we have several of these standing committees are defined in our rules of procedure for purposes. If we're gonna form a sewer committee, we should do it through a formal process where we have, as you mentioned, we make a motion to form a committee and what the membership's gonna be and what the purpose is.
I think MML does a really good job already of outlining what we can and can't do in terms of committees. That's always been in existence. So I don't know that we're doing anything new here, other than just carrying on from some committees that we had last year to this year, and whether we call them standing committees or sitting committees or just plain committees that are adjourned until their need comes about.
Yes, I agree.
That's what we can do.
The Heritage Committee was formed, the Heritage Card Committee, and the Wayfinding, but we had a formal motion to form that committee and what the membership, that stuff. It didn't just kind of like informally pop up. And I think we just I just want to make sure we do this formally and properly.
Okay, and we are. I'm convinced we
It sounds
are.
like we're going to do that, we're going to hold off on that till next time, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting we also need to review what our committees are set up under our rules of procedure, because that would have to be adjusted if we make changes to these committees that are in the rules of procedure.
Well, as an example, I think Pat knows very well what he's doing on the Historical Society, and it's a good service, and we want to keep him there in that spot. So all this is a list of people so that you all know what what you're going to participate in, or you can choose not to. That's not even, none of this is mandatory stuff. It's a guideline for us to go by, where if there's a personal matter, that committee can get together. If there's a planning commission meeting and Melanie's going to be our representative there, then she's going to attend. That's really all we've got here.
But I think the rules of procedure, we do have to statutorily come up with those.
I don't believe you're right about that.
What's that?
I just don't believe you're right about that.
It's according to.
Okay, well, we'll research that, and again, we'll come back to committees, or at least the sewer part of the committee, at some other later date, as needed.
Because the ones we're approving tonight, Larry, are the normal ones, where we're not making any changes, except the Personnel Committee. But we can change the rules and procedures to fit that,
I'm just saying that we do need to address the rules of procedure.
and we can.
Larry,
That's just kind
you've
of behind the
been really
scenes.
clear on that, so we'll get to that as well. The RRC committee can remain vacant at this point, as does sewers. And so, as far as the village council committee go, that I am going to recommend to this council, they are now sitting right before us with Mr. Hayden's name scratched off and mine on the personnel committee. Everything else looks to be what I would recommend for the rest of the council to approve.
And Randazzo for streets, or are we leaving that?
We're leaving that blank for
Okay.
now.
I'll make a motion then to approve the village council committees as presented, with holding off on 3 of them, being the RRC, the, where is it here? Streets and sewers.
Support?
Okay, moved and supported that we adopt the committees. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Me,
Which two?
Randazzo.
Okay. Two opposed, 3 in favor, 4, the motion carries. The item that I had mentioned that is not on this list was the President Pro Tem position. I'm going to have to put that on the agenda for next month because we don't have it on our agenda for today. And it was my mistake in doing so. And even before the meeting started, I probably had an opportunity then, and it didn't occur to me. So we'll just do that at next month's meeting. That takes us past
Is a agenda.
village council committees, and it takes us to a closed session. I'd like to have a motion that we adjourn the regular meeting at this time.
Make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting at 8, 10, 11.
Make a motion to go into closed session at 8:11.
Well, first we'll
Got to
vote on the...
support.
Oh, yeah, do that first.
Yeah, we'll do
All
that.
right.
So, if somebody in support of Kay's motion to adjourn the regular meeting. Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the village is now gonna
Have to go
move into
next door.
closed
We're
session.
gonna go next door. You're welcome to stay. We'll
Parcel listed. Does anyone have a motion?
After that call, just-
Make a motion to execute purchase agreement to acquire parcel number 03-07-377-02.
Support?
Okay, as you know, we discussed it, but does anybody have any other public discussions on this they'd like to make at this time? Hearing none, let's do a roll call vote.
Green.
Yes.
Hayden. Stivell.
Yes.
Randazzo.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Rosenberry.
Yes. Okay, that concludes item F. Item G is an added-on item, and it is entitled Workshop. And Melanie requested it, so maybe you could...
We had spoken about doing a workshop as a council to get our priorities together as far as projects and what we're working on. And I had requested it to be put on here, so I thought I'd bring it up again. But I really think we need to do a workshop to come up with our priorities and our goals and focus
Okay,
of
if we
what
do-
we want to do.
Okay, if we come up with a workshop, as it occurred to me a moment ago, it can be more, there can be more items on the agenda.
We
than
could
just
put row
that.
on there.
We should probably
Yes.
throw the whole kitchen sink on that agenda.
Yeah.
And then that way, we aren't prevented from acting on any of them, or at least we're not prevented from discussing them.
We can't vote,
Right, we
but
wouldn't
I
vote on it,
would
but we would
suggest
certainly
adding
discuss
row.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, certainly.
So
I agree.
a workshop with an agenda to be named later is what you're asking for this committee to do, or
Yes.
for this council to do, and it's, my question is, where, when, and how?
Send
Maybe an
a,
off
send
Monday
a
or
date
something.
out,
Yeah.
I mean,
Again, I didn't,
I said maybe an off Monday or send a couple dates out.
okay. Typically, you do them when you, like, before or after a regular meeting, or is it?
no, we
different
usually do
day,
it a
or-
different
Yeah.
evening.
Okay, and it's just a
We've done
matter
them
of-
in here, we've
matter
done
of-
them at the library.
on the schedule.
A lot of times what we've done is we normally meet the fourth Mondays. A lot of workshops have been like on the second Monday.
But we're all on Monday meetings now.
That's
So-
true.
And then, is everybody good with the evening time? When I was on the school board, we did a lot of our workshops during the day.
I work full-time, it's difficult.
So evening is the only time you can do it, pretty much.
It's,
So could Ryan send out some dates of evenings that are
Yeah, I
over the
didn't,
next?
I didn't bring a calendar
2
with
weeks?
me, but, we'll just agree that it's going to be on a Monday. It's
No,
going-
Mondays are,
Is
we
it
have
every
planning,
Monday?
we have village, we have, no,
Pick a day.
Tuesday, how about that? Tuesday.
Tuesday work? A Tuesday, I'm not
Yeah,
even picking
a
a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Just to say, is Tuesday in general, and call it a
Tuesday
Tuesday,
a month, I have to go to a certain meeting, but other than that, Tuesdays we work
okay?
out. I would like to also include, if we're gonna do a budget workshop, as you mentioned, let's get different topics. I've mentioned before that I would like to have some kind of a budget workshop, so I would like to have that as one of the topics to start the budget.
I think that should be a separated.
That should be a
that
separate
should
one,
be
yeah, that's a
separate.
big one.
We can
and
put,
I agree, that one's a big one.
I know that's a big one, but I'm just saying, if we're gonna be talking about project priorities, and we're talking about growth, I think we can at least start some initial discussion, even if it's just about, well, what items do we really need to discuss in the budget workshop? Which of these projects, if we're talking about projects, which of these ones do we want earmark for discussion in the budget workshop? Stuff like that. So I do want to have some budget discussion, or at least have it on the agenda.
Well, I'm just gonna recommend that we agree on a date and a time, and then I would like everyone to submit to Ryan items that they would like to see it go on that agenda.
I want them to go to you.
Okay, yeah, well, that's true too.
You're what?
And we'll make an agenda based on what everybody here wants to talk about. I do though think with Kay, a budget workshop it's its own animal, you know, it's just,
Yes. That should be separate.
we'd be biting off way more than we could chew if we tried to do the budget and 6 other topics.
But the prioritizing will help then to
Then to
have a
do the
budget
budgeting after.
workshop.
Sure, we can do
That's
the
the whole
budget
idea.
workshop probably won't happen till when, May? Is that usually when those go down?
I think
Well-
Ryan was going to do it sooner.
Yeah.
We have one tentatively scheduled for June 12th. That will be a joint meeting with the Planning Commission and DDA as well.
Well, we sure better meet on it
Oh, we need
before
to
that
meet.
date.
Yeah.
We generally have at least one before that.
Yeah.
I have found in the last several years since I've been back on council that a lot of times the budget discussions, if we don't have workshops until it gets closer to the date, we end up being very tight, very pushed. and
Do you have a schedule
I don't
on your
feel
phone?
that I'm doing
No,
Or calendar?
I do, just a calendar.
proper due diligence on our budget planning, and we should, because of the size of the I'd like to see that earlier this year.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Especially
Last
when
year.
these,
Still need it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's gonna be a concern as well. But we could do a workshop in that 2-week period on the Tuesday between, I guess it wouldn't be in 2 weeks, it would be between the February and March meeting. 6 weeks from today. Or
So-
not today,
But I thought,
How about February 7th?
Just wish somebody gave us calendars.
February, no,
Can I just-
I can't find mine.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt?
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing.
but February 7th,
what's wrong?
I-
Tuesday.
These were sort of later here.
I love it, I love it. I already have
Oh,
mine.
my gosh.
I have mine, but it's at home.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment.
Oh, thank you, yes.
I love it.
Thanks, Chief.
That is funny. That
I
is
love
funny.
it.
That's really funny now.
So February 7th, which is a Tuesday at 7 o'clock? What do you think, Ken?
February 2nd,
7.
7th, can't hear, can't
It was
see.
later.
Is that's the
I don't know.
first
That's,
Monday?
that's a workshop. That's a Tuesday, 'cause
Oh, Tuesday, here.
We have planning on the 6th. Do you want to do 2 nights in a row?
I don't care.
February 7th, Tuesday.
Would you prefer not? I mean, that's 2 late nights in a row
My
for you.
wife would prefer not.
Okay, 14th? That's
That's Valentine's Day, I don't think that's probably a good. day.
Okay, how about the
No,
8th?
no, I would be
Do we
there.
have to be a Tuesday?
It could be, I don't care what day it is.
How about the 8th, which is a Wednesday?
You did great, don't even worry about it.
Okay, how about the 9th? It's a Thursday evening. Anybody have issues with Thursday evenings?
Thursday would be good for me.
Okay, would be, or?
Would be, yeah,
All right, how about February 9th at 7 o'clock?
works for me.
That's a Thursday, yes.
That'd be great.
Here or just in the regular offices?
For a workshop,
Just a workshop.
thank you.
I understand, is this a motion being made?
No, I'm asking
Yeah.
before we make the motion.
Yeah.
just polling the members.
Yeah. Does that work for you?
There's a discussion item, we haven't started a motion.
Right, there has been no motion.
Do we even need a motion? Can't we just have a date and he can send it out and then it makes it official? Or we can vote? I just don't know that we need
Schedule
to.
a public meeting so we can post it.
Yeah, post it, that's what I mean. Right, that's what I think. But
I
that's
prefer
just my
we
thought.
move to schedule it, just so it's abundantly clear what and why, because I think there's still, do we have the why figured out?
I make a motion that we,
We need to post a public meeting. We
Right.
need to post an agenda for it.
right. I make a motion that we schedule a workshop for February 9th at 7 o'clock at the village offices,
For priorities and row?
and whatever else people come up with.
Oh,
That's, well, Ken
Well,
said he wanted
There's
people
no
to just.
finalized budget, or there's no finalized agenda for that yet. There isn't even a rough draft of an
Well, priorities would be number one, and then
Beyond
grow.
those. Okay, but
I think we all sent our suggestions. We know what we want, send them all to Ken. He'll take everybody's suggestions and go off the agenda.
That's fine, but I was calling a workshop for priorities.
Right.
So that's, I just want to make that
Let's not
very
get that
clear.
lost.
Obviously, you request to have a-
But I want to make it very clear. That's all I'm requesting. That's what I'm requesting. That's why I added it on the agenda. So,
I think
For
there's
the
a
record.
motion on the floor.
further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We have,
Have a support.
Yeah, you did.
Leo. You're so quiet down there.
Sorry.
My apologies.
okay, we're all set on a
talk about
workshop.
railroading, huh?
More details to follow.
got this.
We'll move on to the villager manager's report, and Ryan and I discussed all of these in his office, and he's going to give a report to the rest of you council members on these 5 items. Mr. Manager.
All right, so wayfinding RFQ is still in pieces, saved on my computer. It has not been published yet. I've sought input from lots of places. I've had no time to work on this, so it will be coming along shortly, and it will still track for the upcoming summer season. Questions?
Well, yes. So you do have the RFQ together, or you do
Not
not?
entirely, it's in pieces on my computer.
Okay.
Oh, it's drafted. yeah.
Okay, because the sooner the better. I certainly don't think waiting till summer to get it together is,
That's not what it says. It
Okay.
says the. it
I just
will
want to make
track.
sure, because what we requested last meeting was to have the RFQ in the packet. So I just want to make sure we have an end date of when the RFQ will be out. So when do you propose that would be?
I am not putting a timeline on it, but it's in pieces. It'll be as soon as I can. You'll note from what's left of the packet that I have been tied up on other things, and I have not been able to put a ton of time into this project. However, there has been quite a bit of effort, and the project will still track for the upcoming summer season. Additional questions?
No, just one comment that that's why we have to do a workshop for priorities. That's a priority, but we'll talk about it later.
It is your priority.
No, it's the business owner's priority that they've been asking for it, and DDA. And no, it's not Melanie's. Melanie is perfectly fine if I don't have a new sign or signs directing people down to the businesses. It doesn't affect Melanie.
Well, that's our update. We will take of it what we will.
Right on to Sherman Park.
Sherman Park concession stand?
Another comment, I think. Larry
Oh, there was
started.
another comment?
Say, I do think that I agree that the whole council needs to set the priorities on projects, not just an individual. So I do think.
Well, I agree, but that's what our workshop's gonna be, I think. Yeah, we're beating a dead horse here.
Yeah, I think that we also have to take those priorities into consideration in the capital improvement plan too.
And
And that's one of them, and that's
Definitely
one
so,
that the
no.
council did make as a priority, so I agree.
Okay, Sherman Park concession stand update.
We're still working on it. Our plans have been submitted to the DNR. You'll remember we contracted with Troy Chantos from Architects in early 2022. Those plans have been submitted. They will be reviewed soon. The DNR is swamped currently. They're normally done within 60 days. They said they're not going to start them for 60 days. But they'll be reviewed. After that, our bid documents can be submitted for bid. We'll follow the DNR process on that. The actual construction is going to take 3 to 6 weeks after 3 to 6 years of waiting. But you'll be getting more information about the bid selection process in the coming months. Questions? Tony and I have been talking with Fred about what that means for Little League and other park
Yeah,
uses.
that's, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at in there.
No, I
Section
mean,
21, right?
last year, I mean, we didn't use it, but I'm assuming there's not gonna be any big equipment there. you know, like bulldozers and
Not
stuff,
right
because
away,
this is all
no.
just remodeling type
Right.
stuff, so.
Concession stand.
I can't see anything that would cause us to not have the games there. And I'm pretty sure Fred would be the same way. So, but I'll put a note down to talk to him about that as soon as I can.
I
if
did
not
today,
by-
but yeah, I spoke to him this morning.
Oh, did you?
So
Yeah, I tried calling.
more to
you,
come.
answer me.
Yeah, it's we have no idea how long the DNR is going to take to review them, but
Oh,
then
I
once they're
gotcha.
reviewed, we
I
can move
gotcha.
fairly quickly
All right.
on a 3-year time scale, fairly quickly.
I'm assuming we can work out if there's anything that might
Sitting there.
require any power use from Ortonville or any facilities we have.
Well, they have the.
Yeah, we'll
the-
coordinate.
Item C,
The 175th anniversary, also known as a demi-semi-septennial.
A what?
That's the proper name, is for 175th anniversary. Demi-semi-septennial is this year. We have a small informal group who's been working to first identify a date and then plan the proceedings to celebrate the 175th anniversary of the village. We are looking at Septemberfest weekend and coordinating with the Township Parks and Rec that weekend to celebrate the anniversary, as well as lots of other, tying the anniversary into our other events throughout the year. More to come. There will probably be action items for you in the future, but none today. Questions?
other action items as it relates to the 175th? Okay.
Yep.
If I may, that's, again, I just want to reiterate that that's the meeting that Fred called.
That's
for the
one of the
31st.
meetings. There's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
whole
this is-
group that's
Yeah, I know, but,
doing the 175th.
He and I were talking, and he grabbed a date, I agreed to it, and then, so I'm assuming, you know, if you want to go to that one, I'll let you know, just get a hold of me, I'll let you know where we're gonna have it.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's about it.
With that, I wanted to make sure that you saw that we've updated our logo for the year, so I'll send the artwork to you so you can start using it as well. But you'll see the 175th anniversary logo on Village Docks and everything going forward. Luckily, we already had a strong brand that already has the mill as part of it.
What?
So
Ryan, just talking, does that have the years on it?
it has 1848 and it has a 175th anniversary, so you can do the math.
Did you look at all that paperwork, or that?
A
list?
lot of it, yeah. Tony dug through, I don't even know where, the state archive to find the date that the village was founded.
I couldn't remember, I forgot the date now. I know it's
August.
before September.
I want to say it's August 17th, but it might be
think it's-
12th. I'm not sure. They used a
I
funny
think it's-
font in
It
1848.
starts with there's a 2 in there. I don't know if it was the 21st or the 12th,
Yeah.
but
More
we're
to
pretty
come.
much going by the date that the clerk signed, or whoever did that signed it. So that's kind of interesting stuff.
Very.
Other updates?
The ramp for this building, it'll be worked on in spring, assuming the ground ever freezes. We're gonna wait for it to thaw. Working on lighting in Heritage Garden in my infinite time. DTE was in the village to review the planning work for EV chargers. It's been a process, but they'll be coming along. And then, meeting tomorrow with the Blue Heron Headwaters Conservancy, which was the North Oakland Headwaters Land Conservancy until recently. We're talking about Village Park, our trails to date and future planning, what that looks like.
Blue Heron.
Blue Heron Headwaters Conservancy.
And what is that for?
Talk about Village Park, the current trails and future planning.
And you said they're taking over for the,
That's the new name of the North Oakland Headwater.
which was
Yeah.
Lois Robinson.
Headwater
Sue Julian is still a part of it. She's coming along.
Ryan,
So
is
are they
that-
meeting with the
Is
group?
that something that I can attend?
Like,
What time is it?
I believe it's at 10.
And where at?
Office.
And are they meeting with the Friends of the Trail group?
They are not. They are meeting with me.
And,
10 o'clock.
okay.
They have a new staffer who's introducing herself around communities, and it's a long-awaited conversation that we've shopped a couple times in a way, so it'll be good to connect.
Right. And then just one comment, the Heritage Garden, the lights. So, and I've talked to both you and President Quisenberry about this. That's a grant that needs to be done. She believes, you know, at this point that I took the money and ran. So it needs to get done.
Can you remind me the conditions of the grant and what the timeline for utilizing the $500 is?
Yeah, it was supposed to be done by the end of '22. So
Have you provided me or the village
She
any
did.
documentation
All of it.
showing that?
everything, I sent it all to both you and Jenna. I will send it.
You and who?
Jenna.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything I got,
It was December
anything
8th.
I've received, I sent immediately to you guys.
(2023) joint meeting calendar.
In your packet. You get it there.
Does anybody have any questions about the joint meeting calendar that Ryan might be able to answer for us?
No.
Ryan, does that,
Wait, where's it at? Is that all in the paragraph in the bottom?
It's the next page.
Yeah, and the next page
The only
has
thing
it.
I have is our just regular meetings.
Yeah,
This?
a couple are highlighted now.
They're all
Okay, I see
highlighted.
now. Okay, joint meetings.
Put that on the fridge.
Okay, got
Please
it.
note that the DDA joint meeting will be at 7 PM, not 7:30 AM.
Oh, well, glad you mentioned that.
Yeah. Oh, do we have any, I forget, you're the representative on DDA, correct? Was
I
there
was there
any,
this morning, but
yeah, was there any for committees, or
was there any what?
anything you needed to pass along to us?
Most of the discussion had to do with, Courtney, what did we discuss?
And the
I love
election
it.
of officers this morning.
No, not that.
So it's been recommended to the village CEO. No, I'm sorry. The election of officers took place this morning. I was elected president. Leanne Claxton will be president-elect, which is our vice president. Dave Wilson will be our treasurer, and Paula Murray is our secretary. And in your next meeting, February, it's on the
27.
calendar right there.
27.
We have recommended Kim Hill and,
But we also get all the minutes
Kim
from
and
that.
Leanne?
We're gonna get the minutes from that meeting, right?
to be reappointed as our class of 2027. And,
I think there was a lot of time talking about flags and how many poles they have.
Yes,
and how many
we
flags
have
we need
our
for each
banner.
number of poles and banners and.
our banner program, and we're looking to expand our program, so we're working on seeing how many brackets we have and how many banners we need to purchase. And those will be, this year, we will be purchasing banners for the 175th. to
Oh, cool.
Put up in every other with
Right.
our current banners that have our current logo on it. And that's, I think,
Is the DDA looking at a calendar events that they're planning for this year that might be public or
we do not have a calendar of events set at this moment. We are currently working on it.
Courtney, did you say that the DDA, the joint meeting is 7:30 PM or 7?
It's 7 PM, yes.
7 PM,
We
okay.
recognize that the village council
Okay.
and the planning commission probably will not want to meet at 7:30 in the morning.
That was,
Not that half of us want to either, but, when you have business owners and other working people, you have to make it work. So we decided to have our hosted meeting at 7 PM.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. We have the Main Street Conference coming up in March in Boston. talked a little bit about that this morning as well.
We also have the review on what, February the...
February 8th,
February 8th.
Yeah.
and there is a, what did, or Matt say this morning, 2:30 is for?
1:30.
1:30 is for village council.
That's here in this building again,
Here in this
this,
building,
okay.
yes. Come talk about how much you love us.
Right on.
Okay, that concludes the manager's report. See that we have any other items except item 17.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Support.
Okay, would anybody discuss more and stay open longer? As a matter of fact, I do want to stay open a little bit longer. I just wanted to go around the table one more time if anybody had a comment that they didn't get a chance to say earlier. And hearing none, we will vote on it. Those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Anybody opposed and wish to stay longer?
No, okay.
Meeting adjourned.